Welcome to the Jack Low Experience, and today joining me is Sid. How are you doing, Sid?
Good, Jack. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing great, and yeah, we actually before this podcast actually started rolling, we actually talk a lot. Some things that is being going on around the world, and what's up between both of us. You are starting your blog post, and there's like ups and downs and all that. Yeah, run us through what's been up recently.
Yeah, I mean, recently I've just been trying to focus on my focus on my job, focus on my blog posts. The goal is to get one post out every week, regardless of what happens during the week.
Mm,
So I'm trying to just keep up with that promise. Constantly roll out a new post, like a meaningful post. Where I'm actually like doing my research and not just coming off of it just some anecdotal evidence.
mm,
There's no point in just talking about how I feel about situations when how I feel about stuff when there's some actual real examples and real data out there that I can access. So yeah, that's why my goal is to just get out a post every week that's informed. And recently I've been getting more into like tech stuff, like how technology meets
mm.
our social lives, right? How it integrates with society. Currently I'm like doing a piece on this thing called deep fakes, which
Mm.
is just yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's all about how, so if you see like back in 2017 there was this video of I don't know, I think it was either Obama or like some president saying some horrific some US president saying some horrific stuff and some racial slurs and things like that.
Right.
But what that was it was something called deep fake, meaning that the
Yeah.
computer learned what the facial features of the president was,
Right.
and it imprinted those facial features, like my face, onto some other guy's face, and it made it as real as possible. And it's not like something you can do through Photoshop. It was something that was done through machine learning, where the computer just recognizes all the patterns in your face.
Right.
So, like, suppose if you and I are video conferencing,
Right.
and what someone can do, and this goes out live, someone can crop out my face and put it up on, I don't know, fucking Pornhub or some shit, and my face will I'll now be known as a porn star. So yeah,
Gosh.
it's fucking horrifying. Like deep fakes, man. It's You read about this stuff, and people have had like there was this article I read about this woman who received a call at like 3 in the morning, and apparently it was her grandson who wanted like $4,000 from her, and she instantly like would just wired the money to the bank account number. And it
Gosh.
turned out that yeah, and it turned out that the guy was just was some random guy who had access to her son's audio recording through Facebook or through Twitter or something, and he fed his voice, the grandson's voice, into a computer program,
Right.
which then made this voice sound like made the voice like, oh hey grandmom, like I'm in need of like $4,000. And obviously at 4 o'clock in the morning, um you hear shit like that, you're just like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm gonna send it to you, like I don't want you to fucking go to jail. So yeah, like people are already starting to like run scams by using this technology, man. You read about
Gosh.
this shit and it's just, yeah,
Mm.
it's bad, but it's
Yeah.
getting pretty hard. It's like, like how you have those verifications, like verify that you're a robot.
Right.
Those things, like, you have to enter on your Amazon account if you want to like recover your account, and it's just like weird text, and it's like you have to decipher what the words are,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to like, click 5 images that match this car and things like that to verify that you're an actual human and not a robot. So
Mm.
it's something like that, but it's much more pervasive, because you can't you just can't tell. Like I could, for all I know, like after I put up my like my selfie on Instagram, right? Someone can crop it.
Right.
Someone can take my photo and just put it on like a fucking, like some other photo with a guy who's like having sex
Yeah.
with a girl.
That's super dangerous, like that's
Exactly. Like
yeah,
it's
that's like people can just
gets
make
harder.
use of your
Yeah,
information. It's just
exactly. Like
invading people's privacy and just making a full use of it to scam other people, that kind of stuff. It's a pretty
yeah, exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
it's pretty harsh. It's pretty harsh. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
man.
so
Technology is
like
getting
yeah.
worse.
With that, I like to jump into your blog post. Like, well, what's up with your blog post so far? Like, is there anything that is like that is hard? Anything that is easy? Anything that is like popping? Anything? Yeah, just anything about your blog post recently.
Um, hard, but it's all the data is out there. It's just choosing, like, making how do I say this? So it's like, so I have to. What I do is usually, like, I choose a topic. Well, obviously, choose a topic, and then I try to Google about it and read about it as much as possible.
Right,
For me, and just see, like, because all sorts of information is out there, but it's up to me to choose, like, what kind of information, and to for me to decide what's the right information, right? So getting
right,
that information out from the internet is pretty hard. But other than that, man, like, it's also the writing, the drafting, and does this sentence make sense with this? Like, yeah, it's hard, but then I really like it. It's fun.
awesome.
Putting
Right,
your yeah, putting your ideas out there and putting your content out there, man. That's something, like, I think everyone should do that. It forces you to think, like,
right.
how do you want to present your argument and things like that. So
Right. I like to
you know what I
understand
mean?
about your procedures towards your blogging, that kind of stuff. Do you actually like usually read up some articles before you make up a blog post about the article? Is that how you actually roll with your
Yeah,
blog
I try
post?
to. Yeah, if it's something like, if it's something that's more related to, like, technology, and a lot of stuff that's stuff that's technical.
Mm,
Yeah, I tend to do as much research as I can, given within the time frame. Like, I'll read one or two papers, some articles, and things like that.
right,
And then, yeah, from there, like, I'll try to disseminate the information and put it out there and make it, like, easy for people to understand. Because, like, you can find the information, but it's just that a lot of people don't want to, like, go out there and read about it. Because I get it, like, obviously, if it
right,
doesn't concern you at the moment, why would you want to go out and do that? And I get it, but, like, people have different interests, and this is my interest, so
right.
yeah. But then, if I'm talking about something like that's more anecdotal, like, hard work, routines, diets, and things like that, then it's different. Then it's more about just, like, me and the experiences that I have had.
Mm,
So I tend to talk about those and those kind of blog posts. That's mostly what I've been writing about right now. So yeah.
mm. So from
Mm.
how I see it, it's like there's like two main categories that you actually do. The first one is you kind of like take up information from articles or whatsoever and make it easier for
Yeah,
others to be able to read it. And the second one is more of your like a personal lifestyle, the things that
exactly.
you're kind of
Yeah,
doing and all that. Yeah, that's
yeah,
really cool. That's
exactly.
really cool. So I like to
Yeah.
actually jump into your Monday to your Sunday is like right now for your situation as a whole. Like, why are you currently doing that kind of stuff that has been really hot? Do you switch up a lot of stuff as compared to the previous months that I actually last spoke to you? Yeah, like talk to us like
Yeah, I
how's it
try
like?
to, like,
Mm,
yeah, because, like, what I do right now is my schedule is pretty much the same, but the things I do are different, right? So sometimes, like, obviously, sometimes I try to, like, on Mondays I try to work on my article, and then on Tuesdays I try to learn some stuff on software, like, on more of the software development side of things.
mm,
So and then it's just alternate between these two, and then obviously I have my daytime job, my full time job that I work on,
Right.
and then my weekends are usually the part time job that I work on. I'll eventually I want to get to a point where like I'm making enough money where I don't have to like take up part time jobs on the weekend, and I can just finish. I can work on my writing and things like that.
Right.
um yeah, like, and yeah, and I also spend my time reading, man. So it's important, basically. Like it's something that's at least at the very least it's important to me. Reading, writing, being active, all these things are these habits are something that I value a lot. So most of my day just includes that. Trying to eat healthy, trying to live healthy, trying to keep myself sharp. But then every now and then, obviously, um, tend to watch a movie, watch a series or whatever, right? Take a
Mm.
break from my usual routine.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'd say I'm disciplined. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, it's pretty important to me to get my articles out, to get my work done. Um, yeah,
Right.
that's how it is for me
That's
right
awesome.
now.
It almost feels like there's like a light. You do things that are light and some things that are super heavy. You talk about light stuff like watching Netflix. You know, just chilling. You know, you I think that it is important for one to have like a good balance between doing like stuff like watching your Netflix, that kind of stuff, and
Yeah,
on the other
exactly.
side of doing like the heavy stuff, like you talk about you having the discipline to do the things that you want to do, like blog posts and your jobs, upping your skill sets, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So like, what do you think is like how you like, what do you think about this balance? Yeah, as a whole, this whole thing about this
It
balance.
depends on
Yeah.
what you want to achieve, right? Like for me, it's like I do want to get out like stuff, and I want to get out articles and get out all of this stuff as and then all this information out to the people. That's pretty important to me. So there's no right balance. There's no universal right balance because like everyone's situation
Right.
is different. What if you happen to be someone that's like shooting a documentary movie or something like that, right?
Right.
Then obviously you have to spend your time watching those documentaries because that's the part of your research. So then obviously you don't give enough time to reading or enough time to and that's fine because it's again it's dependent. It depends on what your goals are and how you plan to achieve it.
Definitely.
And taking a break every now and then is important, but yeah, like also not forgetting that you're on this, I don't know, I don't want to call it like path to self improvement because I don't believe in all of that. Like
Mm.
it's like it's been that word's been used so much, it's just a commercial term.
Right.
But like on this, I don't know, like just constantly changing yourself, like
Right.
when you're young, you're stupid. Then you get a little bit older, you become more mature, and then 10 years later, you see, how stupid you were back then. Like if I look at my 16-year-old self, like I'd be pretty disappointed. Like
Right.
I know, like that guy was an idiot. Like he didn't have a lot of experiences and a lot of, uh, he just didn't deal with a lot of stuff. And obviously, like my 30-year-old self is gonna look at my 21-year-old self, thinking like, okay, what the hell was I thinking back then?
Right.
Because that's just how people are. So yeah, like, and I think if 10 years down the road you don't see yourself as a stupid person back then I think you just haven't grown up, right?
Mm.
Just grow up, take responsibility for yourself, realize that you're stupid and you have faults, instead of saying like, nah man, there's like, no, 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 it was a situation, it wasn't me, like I'm not like that. No, everyone is like that, just deal with it.
Right.
It's whatever.
Right.
Everyone has their faults. You're lazy now, accept it, and then just start working harder. What are you
Mm.
gonna do? Deny or accept and then just mope about it? Like, don't be a bitch. Don't be a little bitch.
Awesome. So, like you talk about there's like a not of like a universal balance for everyone out there, but for your case, like for your side, like how do you actually manage it for your part? Yeah.
Um, it depends. Okay, again, like so, like this week, I know like I wasn't all that in terms of work or because I just wasn't. I was watching like TV shows, I was watching comedy specials, and like I accept that, and like even like before talking to you, I was working on my article. Just like I don't know, about 30 minutes ago, I was just working on my article, and then
Right.
there's like Netflix playing in the background as a distraction. But yeah, I at least try to hold myself accountable. Um, and
Right.
for the balance for me is just whenever. For now, it's just like whenever I feel like. There's no such thing like because I don't want to get I all what hap- for me what happens is sometimes I get too strict on myself,
Mm.
and I try to like to constrict myself from a lot of things that I enjoy, thinking that I must earn it. If I don't, then I'll go crazy or something. But yeah, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to trying to overcome my instincts and overcome my desires in order to gain what it is that I really want, what I know is right for me.
Right.
So I would say like if I'm like writing, right, if I'm reading an article or something, and if I get bored, I'm just like, ah, fuck it, I can't take it anymore. I go back into my instinct and just like start like watching some random episode or something on YouTube. But I try to hold
Right.
myself, just try to hold yourself accountable. So if you do mess up,
Right.
accept and move on. Like there's nothing. What are you can't you can't go back in time. So what are you gonna do, right?
Right. I like how you
So
talk
yeah, like
about
for the
this.
most.
Yeah, I like how you talk about being holding accountability and all that, and like you finding yourself being too strict onto yourself, like doing stuff, and then you actually leaning backwards, and actually you know what, like I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna do Netflix, that kind of stuff. I think I do find myself having those problems, like a lot of times, like
Mhm.
the last time I spoke to you, and then after a few months, life goes on, like me doing my stuff, me doing my podcast, me doing up like videos to produce out stuff, and there's like moments where I feel like fuck, this is too much. I think I'm being way too
Mhm.
strict towards myself to do all these sorts of things that
Yeah.
I am causing myself to be more like what, stressed out, anxious,
Yeah.
that I'm not producing enough. And I like how you talk about being just holding accountability towards myself, saying that yeah, it's fine. And like what are we gonna do it or dwell about it? Like what are we gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Just move on, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, I really
Like
like
man, the
about that.
thing is also that like it's these services are out there, right? Like Netflix, Apple TV, and all. There's so much content out there, and like we live in a generation where it's become a part of our lifestyle, right? And
Right.
if you choose to ignore it and you're okay with it, right, and you're just like, I'm not gonna deal with Netflix, like I'm not gonna deal with, I don't want to get I just don't want to watch it, I just don't want to deal with all these TV shows, and I just cannot, I want to spend my time 24 hours working myself. That's okay. Like sure, if you like not taking breaks and just constantly grinding the 24/7 hustle mode, sure, by all means go ahead. If that's what you really want to do. At the end of the day, it really depends, right? And you won't realize that now. Like you like people that are like 16, 17-year old, um if they have enough grit and hustle, and they have that mindset to do the stuff, and they have that self-discipline, and they're not just like talking shit on Instagram, then by all means, work yourself, and you'll get the rewards. Like at the end of the day, your results, all
Right.
that matters is how much output you've produced, right?
Right.
um no matter what the situation was, no matter what it was, all at the end of the day, all it comes up down to is the output that you've produced, how productive you were, and just hold yourself accountable to it. Like if you know that this day you slept up, okay, yeah, I slept up, big deal. Because man, like there's so, especially in our generation, there's so many distractions now,
Right.
and it's a part of our lifestyle. Like we're not living in an era where it's like, it's hard to we're not living in an era where it's hard to like connect with each other, and
Right.
it's very easy for anyone in the world to connect with anyone in the world. It's very easy for people to access content from India while living in Canada, for someone to watch Indian Bollywood movies while living in US, for someone to watch American movies while living in India,
Right.
right? And if you can, then why not, right? And it's okay if you want, but if you're doing that 24/7 while you're moping and complaining about it, like, oh man, I wish I had a better life, but you're not working towards it, then you're wasting your time. That's all you're doing, right?
Right.
Like there's no point in being a crybaby and being like, oh, I wish I had like $1 million and I was watching Netflix all day. Like if you're gonna watch Netflix all day, then you're not gonna get $1 million. Like
Right.
that's just the truth. Like get that into your head. You have to work and you can watch some Netflix. Like that's our generation, man. Like I'm not gonna sit on a high horse and be like, oh no, 7 hustle. Like that's just not the truth.
Right. It's
Get enough
just
sleep, get enough rest. Don't be obsessed with anything.
yeah.
Be obsessed. Be obsessed with your own within your own. Be obsessed with improving yourself.
Right.
I think that's the only obsession you should have. Be obsessed with achieving the next target,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
While maintaining a good man, while keeping your sanity in check.
Mm.
Don't go insane in trying to achieve your target in the next 2 years. Say I'm gonna work 365 24/7 for the next 2 years, nonstop, no break, no family, no life, nothing. Because man, when you get to that point and you achieve what you want, you're not gonna be happy because you won't have anyone else to share that with, and you're just gonna at the end of the day, your achievement would mean nothing if you're just gonna be alone,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Like
Yeah, like
yeah, it's definitely like important for you to be like optimistic, but you
yeah,
can't be delusional in terms of the stuff. Like you can't be like 24/7 working, and it's just not feasible. Yeah, you got to be
exactly.
optimistic and at the same time be practical with it. And I
Yeah.
think it's like super important for one to actually be able to execute those out. And I believe that the roots, right, that actually brings us to this sort of like becoming optimistic as well as being practical with the stuff we actually do. It comes down to self-esteem, and I've been like struggling with self-esteem. Like um I kind of like know what is up, like what is going on, and what is the right thing to do, but there's always this thing that I struggle with, which is self-esteem, like to actually doing the stuff out. So like for your side, like how is it like for you, like for you to like do stuff, doing things that is right, doing things like standing up to your own opinions. I don't know how much of your interactions that you actually do with other people, but I like to
Mhm.
understand how you actually walk around with it, because I myself am struggling with those, like self-esteem to
Mhm.
do the right stuff. You have things that is in your mind, ideologically,
Yeah.
everything is on
Mhm.
set, but how do you actually like execute towards it? Yeah.
Self-esteem in the way like having conversations with people, or like just like you beat yourself up for on nothing. Like in what way do you mean? Like when
Self-esteem
you're
through.
interacting with people, do you become like submissive? Like you just agree to everything they say?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I don't know. Like okay, about that,
Yeah.
it depends on. I think it really like as you grow up, you start to understand like people really don't care that much.
Mm.
In the sense that sure, like you have your the at the end of the day, all that matters is that you have your opinions, someone else has their opinions, and you're having a discussion about it. You have to think of it that way. You don't have to think of it, oh, he's someone that is older than me, so he must know more.
Right.
He has more experience, and that's true, right? Does it necessarily mean that he knows a lot more? That's debatable. Because man, like even despite the fact that people have, there's people that you talk to and they just know different things than you. Like there are some areas where you excel at, and there are some areas where we're just really shit at. And the best way for you to communicate with other people is to show a little bit of both. Show your strengths to other people, right?
Right.
Show the sides that you're really good at. So I think you were in the you were drafted in the army, right?
Right.
Did you ever? How was your training? What was that like?
Right now I'm just like doing like some sort of like office work, that kind of stuff. It's just like working
Oh, I see.
in that kind of like office work, you know. There's just a lot of
Mm,
like a lot of stuff that is going on, you know, politics, you know, when humans work together, like there's a lot of people who are working together,
yeah,
stuff will
yeah,
happen, you know, that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And
Imagine it'd be really
yeah,
different for armies, like because it's a very hierarchical structure, right? You have to follow. You cannot just because obviously, like given the fact that you're so young, you're young. You're probably in one of the lower ranks, right? You're like
right,
a rookie or a private, right?
right,
Yeah. So I think like in an army, the way it works out is that you have to listen to your boss. Like there's no you can't go out and rebel against them. Why? Because you have to develop that trust. You have to first, because in order for you to say no to someone, they first have to trust your judgment. And you can't go on like day one, okay, I'm gonna change everything.
right,
Like that's not that's not practical, and no one's gonna listen to you, and they're gonna just hate you. The better way to do it is say yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, I agree. And then when they're just follow the orders, right? Like
right,
until they start seeing you, and then once you find out like, oh, okay, here's something that I think can be done better, then you start giving advice, you start giving suggestions like, hey, how about we do it this way, or why can't we do it like that?
right,
Ask questions. You have to build a rapport. Like you have to it has to be like a two-way street, right?
right, right,
And it takes time to build that trust. And if you want
yes,
to build that trust, then you also have to have that assurance within yourself that like, yeah, I really think my way is better. And also and you also have to be okay with like taking that rejection. You have to take those l's, because like,
definitely,
well, okay, like I know obviously like my job isn't as hard as for someone that is like in the army and has to like listen to hierarchy.
right,
But for us, for as a web developer, you have these things that's called code review,
okay,
where someone that is like someone like me who's a junior developer, he gets uh he gets his code checked, like the stuff that he's typed out, the program that he's typed out, he gets it checked by someone that has more experience and someone that is a senior developer.
right,
And they just say like they go through your code and this is like, okay, this is wrong, you should do it like this, you should do it like that. So you see like you see like 10 lines of code, and they'll point out like, okay, here's 5 things that are wrong with your code. Just take it, because that's experience. That's valuable information. At the
right,
end of it, like you have to if you want to become better, you have to drill that information in your head, and it's a discussion,
right,
right, between you and the other person. And there are some things that you're gonna disagree with, and there's some things you're gonna agree with. And yeah, I mean, the thing about self-esteem is that no
right,
one, no one. It's very easy for people to break down your self-esteem, because you're like it's a fact that your brain reacts to negative emotions way higher than it does to positive emotions.
right,
So you have to have the mental strength to take those L's and just try
mm,
not to put yourself down.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I like that a lot.
we
Yeah.
yeah, it's we like as humans, it's just like built into us. So if someone says like, hey, the rice was good, but like I didn't like the curry, right? Suppose you're like some, right? So you might think like, okay, the rice was good, that's whatever, the compliment was whatever, but the negative part of it, like I didn't like this, I don't like this about you, right? So
Right.
some you might take it as, oh shit, there's something that's wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. We're different.
Right.
That's it. You
Mm.
have to keep it. You have to realize that. Keep reminding yourself that,
Right.
and but also don't get too cocky. Like there's always
Yeah.
like a fine line. It's a balance.
Yeah.
Like don't beat yourself up, but also don't get too cocky. You know,
Yeah.
keep try to stay in the middle
Yeah.
for
Pulling from
everything.
two directions. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Try to stay in the middle.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just talking about this whole self-esteem, this whole subject about this thing, it brings me to a lot of places. There's a lot of things that I like to jump upon. That the things that you say
Mm,
is like super spot on that I can totally relate to. And one part was that you actually talk about like having this situation that you like actually saying yes sir, and like you just following the instructions. And what I see is like a binary options, like it's either you can choose to say yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, or you can choose to do what is right, do what is right towards your own heart, that is you think it's right, but it takes effort. Because normally how I see that how people usually do is this, that they just conveniently say yes sir, and not actually like think about the stuff,
mm,
and actually acting onto the right stuff. So like
mm.
how do you actually like manage those, like do you have like any situations that actually happen to you that in that sense?
In those situations, I think the only thing you can rely on is your own experiences versus other people. Obviously, you don't want to be the kind of guy who's just like yes sir all the.
Right.
Um, you don't want to be the kind of guy who other people like. You don't want to be the guy who's like just kissing your boss's ass. Um, like I said, you need to build a trust, and your trust, and for sure, you're not gonna build your trust by rejecting rejecting all of your boss's ideas, all of your superiors ideas. Like if they go and tell you like, okay, do this task and do it this way, you go like, no, I'm gonna do it my way. Like,
Right.
yeah, but what if you're a day one rookie, you have no experience to be like, versus someone that's been in the industry for like 10 years or 15 years, then you can't argue with someone that has 15 years of experience versus someone that's been on the job on day one, right? I
Yeah.
can't I can't be like, okay, I'm changing all of our code and I'm changing everything that how our software works. Like I've been here for like 2 minutes and I'm arguing with the guy who's been working on this in this company for the last 5 years. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
What basis am I setting my arguments on? So like I'll backtrack it a bit. Like I said, it's about first you build your trust. How do you build your trust? You build your trust by asking questions like, okay, if we're doing this, why are we doing it? Like, is there a better way to approach it? Have a discussion. That way you gain some extra. That way you gain some knowledge, and that way your seniors see you as someone that is actually interested in learning about this stuff, and your bosses see you as someone who they can rely upon as well, who someone to get like a second opinion on, right? So
Right.
suppose your like my boss has given me a task like, okay, you can complete it like this, right?
Right.
And he says, I want this done like this, and no questions asked. Okay, I can go ahead and do it and be like, yes, sir. Or if I know that built I've built enough I've built enough credit with my boss, and I can go like, hey, why don't we do it like this? And he might have missed something that I might have noticed, or I
Right.
might have missed something that he might have noticed, right?
Right.
So it doesn't. You don't want to be the guy who's saying yes, sir. You want to be the guy who comes up with the ideas, who comes up with suggestions that can improve your product by just a little bit. That little suggestion that you gave has added some value, right? And that's what people that's what people want. You don't want someone that's saying yes sir all the time. You want someone that's providing value to other people. You want to be an asset. You want to be someone that's
Right.
that's and this all and it depends, right? What kind of asset do you? Oh yeah, this guy's a dependable guy. I can trust him with this order. Or do you want to be the guy like, okay, I trust his judgment, right?
Right.
There's two types of people. You can have people that are like, okay, if I tell him to do it this way, he's gonna do it that way. Or you can have the second type of person who's like, yeah, if I tell this guy to complete this task, I know he's gonna get it done. How he gets it done, how he gets it done is not my business. I trust his judgment, right?
Right.
So it again, it's building that self-esteem and all of that. It comes with experience and having different ideas and having discussions with other people.
Right.
It's something that you really have to work towards. It's the difference between saying yes sir and providing a suggestion. It's those small differences, and
Right.
at the end of the day, those are the ones that have like really, really, really big impacts. Like like I said, you could be the kind of guy who's just monotonous, likes to keep likes to keep it within himself, likes to not talk to anyone, just follows the orders. And yeah, he's a good guy. He's getting things. He's just there. But or you can be the kind of guy who's like getting it done, who's pushing forward the product, who's pushing forward the mission, who's achieving the goals, who's setting new goals, who's setting new targets and things like that. And that takes time. That only comes with experience.
Right. I really like about this whole subject as a whole, like because how I see is like there's like a binary options of like you choosing yes sir, yeah, like I said just now,
Mm.
and you actually like actually doing what's right and you pushing forward stuff, because what I actually recently found out that like I recognize that actually people like value people who has their own opinions, like people who
Yeah.
do this sort of behavior, like having like this yes sir, like behaving like sort of like a robot, like just doing what's
Yeah.
convenient, yes
Yeah.
sir. people don't
Yeah.
People have low respect for this type of people, because they do
Yeah.
not have their own opinions, and it's like
Exactly.
I just found out that I've been doing that, for the past few many years, that I lost so much respect for people is because that I behave like this robotic way of like just
Mm.
conveniently saying yes sir, blending into the environment to wherever I am, and I just lost so
Yeah.
much respect.
Yeah.
And recently I spoke to just one random acquaintance of mine, and actually jump into this topic of like talking about these two options of like how will you actually behave when you meet such a situation. Will you go yes sir, or will you choose what is right for you in your heart, that is actually brings more meaning and actually helps you push you forward. And I just you know with that conversation itself, I think that I actually earn a lot of respect from the acquaintance that I actually spoke to, like this type of
Mm-hmm.
stuff just brings me into a position whereby I like take a step back, self-recognize that what is actually important, like actually doing things that actually may not be convenient, but it actually earns something that is like really well worth it, this type of respect
Mm.
and all. Yeah, so I think I can totally relate to the things that you actually say, like if you go lean towards like doing things that is right, you will push yourself out there, you'll push the product out, you will do things that's right. And I also like how
Mm.
you talk about this whole thing about having like the mutual respect between both parties. It takes both to actually make things work out. It can't be just
Yeah.
like one person just like saying yes, 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 that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know. I
yeah.
completely agree.
Mm. So like I like to jump into something else that how do you actually, because we've been talking about self-esteem, so I like to like jump in deeper, like how is it like for you, like where does your self-esteem actually comes from? Where do you think it actually comes from
To
yeah.
be honest, like I don't have self-esteem. To me, is also it's pretty new. It's stuff that like I said, I'm
Right.
you have to be constantly improving. The way I see it is that I used to be this shy, timid kid back in high school, like keeping to myself, not talking to a lot of people, just um and it's got a lot to do with the fact that I having an elder brother who would stop you from doing everything.
Right.
He'd be like, no, you cannot do it this way. I was the youngest. I am the youngest in the family,
Right.
so I had other people laying down paths for me, especially like growing up in like the whole Asian culture. Obviously, as a young person, you don't know anything. You're not smarter than the people who are older than you, which is not true, by the way. Um, yeah, and then I just got it from like just be yes, ma'am, yes, sir, and all of this whole the entire culture of just kissing ass. And I ever since I started living independently, man, like you start living by yourself, you're forced to think for yourself. Like you wake up in the morning, you're not gonna have someone come up to you and tell you, okay, it's time for breakfast, come down,
Right.
right? You're not gonna have someone that's gonna tell you, okay, it's time to go to work. You have to, because if you don't, the consequences are worse, far worse.
Right.
You could lose your job. You could you get fat. You become unhealthy. If you could choose to not work out, but then the consequences of not exercising are obesity and just heart problems and
Right.
muscle pain, bone pain. It's just it's hell. Like you don't want to deal with that. You want your body to you want to give your body enough stress so that it knows that it has to recover and it has to stay healthy. Because the consequences of not staying healthy, it's just
Right.
like that.
You're like
You
fully
can't.
accountable, yeah.
Yeah, I have to be, because if I'm not gonna think for myself, there's no one else is gonna do it for me, and that's you have to realize. And that's where your self-esteem should, I think that should be one of your sources of where your self-esteem comes from.
Right.
um Realize that people that don't that dis people that disagree with you, they're at the end of the day, they're not the ones that are paying your bills. You're the one who's paying your own bills. They're not the ones who are supporting you, but in any by any means whatsoever. You have to support yourself.
Right.
So take pride in that. And all be open to, like, if you disagree with some, be open to listening to their argument, listen to their side of the story. And if you don't agree, and if you still don't agree with it, well, okay, what are you gonna do, right?
Mm. Right.
Just you have to have enough confidence in yourself to say to tell other people, like, hey, look, I don't agree with you, but we can still hang out, we can still be friends, and we can still have a nice conversation. You don't have to agree with someone to have a nice conversation. In fact, I think if you the more times you disagree with someone, that's a better conversation, because you get something in return. You get knowledge in return. You get some output. You get to see some other side of the story. You get to see the facts that the other side has to present. So that's why it's good for you.
Right.
So you have to. There's no secret formula to build self-esteem. You have to just put it out there, like you with your podcasts, right?
Right.
One thing is that you have one thing that I encourage like people who are putting content out there, just keep asking for feedback, and
Mm.
ask for feedback that ask for feedback where you see the weak points, where you see like, oh yeah, that's something that maybe I can work on, right? And also see for stuff that you think, oh no, I did this idea, I don't know if this will work, and all of the stuff that I've made so far, I know that this isn't something that's gonna work for me. So taking your own ground, standing up for yourself, that's important, and that comes with experiencing and trying different things, seeing the things you're good at, the things that you're bad at, and your self esteem definitely comes from both of these experiences. Seeing like, yeah, okay, I agree, I'm bad at like doing push ups, but hey, I'm good at doing squats, right?
Mm.
So that's just a weird
Right.
example, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm bad at making video content, but I'm good at writing,
Right.
right? So I know where my strength is, I know where my weakness is, I know where I can improve, and I know where I can for sure hit the target, so to speak.
Mm. Right. 100%. And at one point, you actually talk about like taking L's. Like
Yeah.
recently, I'll just recall one like recent L's that I actually have. It's probably like I faced the situation. I know that I made the mistake, but I actually conveniently chose to not to like own up the mistake, because I don't know, it's just very convenient, and it's just easier way out there.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
so
Yeah,
like,
I've been there.
yeah, so like how for your case, like how actually you navigate through this type of situation, man. Yeah.
Uh, I think the way I think is that no matter what the situation is, the truth is always better. Like you could have the world's best lie made up for the situation that you're in, and the best excuse made up, and that still wouldn't be as good as the truth. Why?
Mm.
Because that lie, first of all, if you have a moral compass, right? Everyone has their own moral compass, where you're just like, there's a point where just like, yeah, it's if I tell this small lie, it's not gonna be that big of a deal, and it might not be, but telling the truth might lead you to a path where which you didn't expect. It might lead you to an adventure, so to speak,
Right.
right? Own your truths, in the sense that own your truths, and it'll set you free from any further questioning,
Right.
you know, from any other further probing. Like, hey, why were you wasting the 2 hours when you could have done this? Well, you could either say like, oh, I was tired from this morning and blah blah blah, or you could just say like, man, I just didn't want to. Like, what am I gonna do? Right? Own
Right.
it. Like, just own it.
Mm.
And agree that, like, yeah, I have spent the time that I spent doing nothing in a better way. Me, yeah, for sure. I could have worked out, I could have jogged, I could have, I don't know, written a poem or something, but I didn't want to. And maybe next time I'll keep it in mind, or maybe next time I'll do something about it, right?
Mm.
And instead of saying, and instead of providing yourself an escape when you're like, oh, I was just so tired from so and so and so and so, and I just didn't want to, and this happened and then that happened, you're just lying to yourself. And
Right.
it's not gonna at the end of the day, it's not gonna affect anyone but you. Suppose for instance, if the other day I made a mistake, and
Right.
something happened to the program, or I must have said something to a customer who didn't like the way I said it, right?
Right.
um there, I could have had some sort of an escape, like, oh no, no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, and things like that. I'm just like, I just told them like, it is what it is, I'm not gonna lie to you, right? I'm gonna
Mm.
be honest about it. um is what I must have said must have made you feel bad, and I'm sorry for that if you feel bad, but it is what it is, right? Just live with that, like, it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
Can't do anything to change it. You don't have that power, so why let it bother you?
Yeah. I really like how you talk about
That's
like
that's freeing,
owning the
man. It's
L.
it's it's freeing. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Like starting a business. Like I think if you're someone that's like trying to start your business,
Right.
right? Um, you could have a million excuses to not do a thing a certain way that you know could have benefited you, right? Maybe you didn't take your business online. Maybe you didn't do social media. Maybe you didn't do that. What's your you can give yourself an excuse like, oh yeah, I just didn't want to. It's not the right time for me. It's my business is just not there yet. Well, when is it gonna get there? If it's gonna get there 3 weeks from now, why not just do it today then? Right? Like, don't provide yourself that escape where you're like, because it's just hurting you and your business and your, and this applies to situation, any goal that you have. Like, be accountable. Realize that you made that the faults that you have, own it, and just move on and try to do better next time. Just improve by that 1%. It's
Right.
just taking that little step that gets you closer.
Right.
That's the power of compounding. That's how it works. Like, we've all heard, like banks give you 2% interest or whatever, right? You
Mm.
put $100, then the next year becomes $102, and then from 102 it gets to 106. From 106 it becomes 115, 115, 200, and then eventually it gets to a million. Right? That's the just a little bit every day. You don't have to go for a 50% improvement in one day because that's impossible. And it's very, 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 very rare.
Right.
Improve by 1% every day. Consistency. Be consistent. Be consistent in improving yourself.
Right. 100%. Like I
You know?
actually like way back, like I think it's like quite a few months back. Like I actually like gotten an L. Like I make a mistake and that kind of stuff, and I actually like inconveniently own up the mistake,
Mm.
and which brought me to this question that this topic that I actually talked to you about. I think just being honest with it, just being willing to take the L, it just brings me to like great places. Like like leading me to this
Yeah.
question to talk to you about and having the conversation with it. If say I did not like chose to like take the L and I chose the easier way out of like, oh yes sir, that kind of a stuff, and
Yeah.
it would not have led me to this conversation that I'm actually having with you. So like it actually like
Yeah.
owning the
Find a
truth
silver
is
lining. Yeah.
it's such a beautiful thing. It just brings us to like
Yeah.
great places. Yeah. So with that,
Exactly.
yeah, with that, right? Like I know like at the start like you've been talking a lot of like your hot takes, the things that you're hot in your mind, and I actually
Mm-hmm.
lead you to this whole new whole another place that we actually talk about. So before we end off this podcast, like I actually like you to like share about things that you actually like am caring about a lot, like one thing that you're caring a lot about that is in your mind right now that you like to talk about. Yeah.
I just want people to be. I don't want to sound like a preacher or anything. I want people to be aware, man. Just
Mm.
be aware of stuff that's happening around you. You know,
Mm.
don't take everything in too much, though, because the news is only gonna show you the worst possible sides of everything.
Right.
Some fires happening, people bombing themselves up, people killing other people. Um, yeah, like just know what's happening around you. Don't be ignorant. Be open. Be open to ideas and be open to having conversations with people about stuff that you think that matters. Because a lot of the times people just disregard other people's ideas for their own ego.
Right.
um to be like to satisfy this some sort of to satisfy this to satisfy their ego and to prove like, yeah, I'm right. Well, yeah, you're right. You can find a million articles that say you're right, and you'll find another million articles that say you're wrong about everything. And I think it's best to see both sides of the story, realize where the other side is coming from, where you're coming from, and then make a decision. And who knows, you might change your mind about something, right? And you might learn something new.
Right, 100%. Having
Yeah,
context of like both worlds before you actually make a decision. That's
exactly.
it's just
Yeah,
a big thing to do. Yeah. So like
yeah,
with that, like I'm super grateful to have you here once again. Yeah, joining
yeah,
me
man.
on this podcast.
Always happy to be here.
Yeah. So once again, like do you have any new platforms that you are up? Where can we find you on the social medias? Yeah.
I recently joined Twitter. At Teeny Lighthouse. I joined. I'm already on Instagram as Teeny Lighthouse. I'm on Facebook. I'm still writing on Medium. If you guys want to read my stuff over there as well. Uh, yeah, I mean, Facebook. So yeah, I mostly post on Twitter and Instagram. It's that those are the two platforms I've started using a lot. So yeah, you can definitely check me out on those two platforms. And if you want to read some of my content, it's available on Medium at Teeny Lighthouse.
All right. Awesome. So
Yeah. All
with
right.
that, yeah, thank you guys for listening, and thank you Sid for joining us right over here.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah.
Thanks. See you later.
Yeah. Have a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a good one, Jack.
Awesome.